Today, Health Canada authorized the 10 microgram Pfizer-BioNTech Comirnaty COVID-19 vaccine for use as a booster dose in children aged 5 to 11 years.
She's so natural.
And NACI released a national guidance for its use in Canada. This booster dose provides a great option to restore protection for this age group, especially for those who are at high risk of severe illness.
This is totally organic and totally natural. And before I go 1 second further, I'm just going to wait for the chat to let me know if you hear a smooth, beautiful voice through the proper microphone. And I'm going to wait, and I'm looking at the chat. Last night's audio was comedic gold. Not for me, it wasn't. Bro, I have 4 years film school and I live down the street if you need help setting out your studio. And let's go kayak fishing. Screenshotted. Sound is good. Smooth. Oh yeah, people. Let's get back to scratching our ears with ice picks.
Specifically.
First of all, I'm going to start from the beginning again. This is Canada's top doctor. This is the most organic, natural, fluid delivery. I mean, she's only been doing this for 2.5 years. It's so ingrained in her understanding of science and the world. It has to be scripted on a teleprompter. You can see her eyes moving, and not even smoothly at that. And she can't get the names of the medications out that she's promoting.
Health Canada authorized the 10 microgram Pfizer-BioNTech Comirnaty.
BioNTech. And by the way, it's bio in tech. That's what I've been explained is BioNTech. I think that's what the origin is, like biology in tech or something along those lines. She's back to the other side, like a typewriter, like a piece of corn going into someone's mouth, and you're like, oh.
COVID-19 vaccine for use as a booster dose in children aged 5 to 11 years.
A booster dose in children aged 5 to 11 years means that they've had the jab before that. So they're recommending the booster dose for children aged 5 to 11 years. Why? Why would a child need a booster dose? Why? Let's hear it.
And NACI released a national guidance for its use in Canada.
NACI, by the way, it's one of those unfortunate acronyms. NACI, I have to take a screen. National Advisory Committee on Immunization. You know, there are acronyms that are just so damn fitting for the time. You've got NACI for the government immunization program. You've got the CAQ, CAQ for La Coalition Avenir du Québec. Every now and again, they are the drafters, the deliverers, and the punchlines of their own jokes. Okay, but why would a child aged 5 to 11 need a booster?
This booster dose provides a great option to restore protection for this age group, especially for those who are at high risk of severe illness.
Restore?
For this age group. Especially, this booster dose provides a great option to restore protection for this age group.
Restore protection, Dr. Tam, means they lost the protection or never had the protection for a group aged 5 to 11. May I ask you, Madam Doctor, to show your stats so that you can actually substantiate that rather bodacious claim that this is necessary to, what did she say?
The dose provides a great option to restore protection for this age group.
To restore protection.
Especially for those who are at high risk of severe illness.
How many children not are at high risk for severe illness have experienced severe illness of COVID? Do you have the stats, doctor?
Specifically, NACI recommends that children 5 to 11 years of age who have an underlying medical condition that places them at high risk of severe illness.
I could deliver this more fluidly, not even believing it, let alone the doctor can't deliver this without reading a script. Literally, and clearly
due to COVID-19, including children who are immunocompromised, should be offered a first booster dose of the 10 microgram
there you go, back down here.
Pfizer
Here you
BioNTech
go.
Comirnaty COVID-19 vaccine at least 6 months after completion
there you go,
of
back
the
down
primary
there.
series.
I can't stand it. Rubbish. Madness. NACI. NACI. Very fitting, by the way, because some of Justin Trudeau's very liberal policy has now been compared to a certain very bad era in humanity. Let me just get this. Why do I look closer than I ordinarily do? Did I do something to the camera? I'm done with everything. What the heck is my problem with stuff? NACI, NACI. And I'm gonna pull up the article that compares Trudeau's liberal policy, saying it has echoes of Nazi era, where Nazis were doing things to people that involved prematurely, arguably, putting them to death. I read some of the chats in there that I'm not bringing up, so I'm not bringing up some of those. Okay, I'll tell you one thing. I'm glad we have not had the same problems we had yesterday. That was funny, embarrassing, frustrating, unnerving. Lots. National, what was it called? The National, I can't even remember. Advisory Committee on Immunity. How about board? Like, why would you do NABI? Like, can you not even understand you're memeing yourself by NACI? NACI, yeah. Okay. I wonder if YouTube auto dictate is going to pick that up improperly. Can't see the freedom locks. It is closer today, right? Let me see something here. I'm so nervous about USB camera. No, that's it. Maybe I'm just sitting closer to my I'm sitting closer to the computer today. There we go. Let's get the locks. See, you can't see the freedom. I want to see the freedom above my shoulder. There we go. Oh, yeah. Okay, good. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2,345 viewers. At that moment, I screen grabbed. Very satisfying. Okay. Dr. Teresa Tam talking about jacking up the kids. What does she say? To renew their protection if they've lost it. Because okay, let's just leave it alone now. All right, people. Standard disclaimers. Silky smooth. Ooh yeah, nice husky, beautiful husky. Asior. No legal advice, no medical advice, no election fortification advice. We've got Alex Stein, Primetime 99 coming on. It's a very funny thing. I like to go and do research on people that I'm having on the show. And I came up with a couple of articles, people. Alex Stein is a comedian, quite clearly, a political comedian. Someone invited him on stage or to share the stage in Texas. They received a stand-up comedian at a stand-up comedy show. They received blowback for booking Alex Stein, a comedian, because they don't like his humor. Preposterous. I'll bring that article up. But he's coming on. It's going to be around 4:30 our time. No, it's going to be around 5:30 our time, 4:30 Central Time. And by the way, sorry about having booked this, started this at 2 o'clock. I don't know what's going on. But when problems occur, they occur in a wave and then they don't come back for a while. So hopefully we've gotten them out of the way now. Okay. NACI. Let's just go with our first story of the day. I'm going to rail against it until everybody knows about it. And then they can either say, I know about it and I have no problem with it, or I know about it and I'm shocked, but no one's going to be able to say, I don't know about it. Touched on it briefly last night. Canada is now proudly the euthanasia capital of the world. Justin Trudeau has implemented a policy that has resulted in basically doubling year over year over year the number of people who are euthanized. And I don't know why I'm putting it in quotes. Euthanized. Medical assistance in dying. Recently, I'll pull up an article that'll go through the history briefly, but there was a Supreme Court decision that said prohibition on medical assistance in dying was unconstitutional, discriminatory, and the Trudeau government tabled and passed legislation that broadly expanded the scope of medical assistance in dying, MAIDs. And as of 18 months from the sunset clause of when this was implemented, it will apply potentially to mentally ill individuals and minors as well. But in the meantime, by the way, they've wasted no time. 10,064 medically assisted deaths in 2021 alone. We'll get to the history of it so that I make sure not to make a mistake on it. But, speaking of NACI and what it's doing in Canada, and don't think it's me pulling a Godwin's law, immediately referencing WW2 and Schmittler because I don't like the policy. I'm very reluctant to ever make those analogies. I once upon a time, in response to a Gina Carano Instagram post, said, yeah, this is the risk of making these analogies. People misunderstand them, accidentally or on purpose. They weaponize them, take them out of context, accidentally or on purpose. They're risky analogies. I'm not making it, people. I'm not making it. Forbes is. We all see this? This is Forbes. Not me. Don't get mad at me. It's not like I'm taking her stuff. That's from Happy Gilmore. Forbes. Talking about the new euthanasia laws in Canada. In the section diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay, that's odd. There's another acronym that just is comedy on its face. Diversity, inclusion, and equity. Die. Canada's new euthanasia laws carry upsetting Nazi-era echoes, warns expert. Gus Alexiou, I write about accessibility, inclusion, and social justice. Okay, well, I mean, I don't even know which way the social justice angle is going on this. There's going to be people who are saying this is humane. This is a civil society that allows people to choose when they die and do it and allow them to do it in peace. Other people are going to say it doesn't make sense if you have quite this many. It doesn't make sense when the government rubber stamping the approvals has a vested financial interest in rubber stamping approvals. And maybe, just maybe, a truly humane society should opt for this as an absolute last resort, in circumstances where it's absolutely the last option and only where it's absolutely totally necessary and where all other remedies have been exhausted. Listen to this. Canada's extremely liberal euthanasia laws, which next year are set to be extended to include people suffering from mental health conditions and potentially minors, have been slammed for being reminiscent of the way Nazis dealt with people with disabilities by a leading academic in the field. In an article published by the Associated Press last week, Tim Stainton, director of the Canadian Institute for Inclusion and Citizenship at the University of British Columbia, said the country's uniquely permissive euthanasia laws were probably the biggest existential threat to disabled people since the Nazis program in Germany in the 1930s. Now, anybody who doesn't know the history of it, go read just a little bit. And anybody who ever thought, how could anybody in the history of humankind have done something so bad? The truly shocking revelation to me is that we sit there thinking that like the Nazis, the Yazis, when they were doing their diabolical evil things, they knew it was diabolical, they knew it was evil, and they were public about it. When you view history through the lens of what we're going through now, and you realize that even back when they were committing egregious atrocities, they probably found a way to justify it to themselves and to society at large. They probably cloaked it behind the same benevolence, the same for the greater good that people cloak a lot of atrocities behind. And you see what's going on here in the current, because it's 2020 liberal Canadian government. Justin Trudeau is cloaking what historically might be viewed as an atrocity under progressivism. We are expanding death to so many people, even the mentally ill, who arguably by legal definition are incapable of giving consent, whose consent is typically, legally speaking, not vitiated, but they're not capable of giving lawful consent to certain things because they are not necessarily aware and conscious. But they're cloaking it in benevolence. Like, we're so progressive. We just want to open euthanasia to as many people as possible. Forget trying to treat them. Just go straight to making it as easy as possible for them to end their lives. The Associated Press article additionally detailed the story of a 61-year-old Alan Nichols, who had a history of hearing loss and depression, and according to Nichols' brother, was unlawfully put to death by the Canadian state in 2019. You think there's going to be no abuse in this? No pressure? No vulnerable people doing this, notwithstanding what would otherwise be the objection of loved ones? Vulnerable people who are going to be exploited by a system that has a vested financial interest in pushing it through as fast as possible. And it's happening in real time. 10,064 in 2021, up 37% from the year before. Though Nichols' family cited a pitiful lack of oversight and gross negligence on behalf of the medical professionals treating him, the Canadian Mounted Police, in conjunction with the British Columbia Health Ministry, declined to bring any criminal charges. Nevertheless, the episode, allied with the upcoming expansion of the laws governing euthanasia in Canada in 2023, raises serious question. Liberal universalism. Yada, yada, yada. It goes on. It's fantastic. Let me just do this. Bring this here. Mute. Got a little tickle in my throat. Do we go on with this article? Let's go on a little bit more. Here. Could it be the country renowned for its liberal universalism? Yada, yada, yada. Accessibility is, in most cases, the precious ethos of lifeblood, which allows people with disabilities to thrive as functioning members of society. Yet within the sphere, unfettered accessibility could indeed prove to be one of the most malignant forces the disability community has had to confront since mercy killings of the mercy killings. It was cloaked in benevolence, people. Mercy. Proponents of the practice in Canada claim that there are robust checks and balances. So robust, by the way, you have family members arguing that there's a lot of pressure exploitation. You have other people alleging that the number is actually being underestimated because even when somebody is put to death by the state through medical aid in dying, sometimes they still put the cause of death as the underlying illness and not the MAID. I have not been able to independently corroborate that yet. Jean-Yves Duclos of the National Euthanasia Law recognizes the rights of all persons as well as the inherent and equal value of every life. Nevertheless, there exist several trends and protocols that set Canada apart from other territories in which euthanasia is legal that have led opponents to express concerns over that country's medical establishment is faltering on a precipice. Unlike in Belgium and the Netherlands, there are no monthly commissions in place to review problematic cases, whilst in Canada, the procedure itself can be undertaken by a nurse practitioner, rather purely being restricted to doctors. Oh, what could go wrong there? Perhaps most troubling of all, and where the issue has become most politicized and conflated with liberal fundamentalism, is the manner in which euthanasia is proactively proposed as treatment option by physicians caring for patients. Can you imagine this? They offer it as a treatment option on par with the treatment options that don't involve killing the patient. Whereas in other countries where it is legal, euthanasia appears to be more siloed away. Analogous, mutatis mutandis, to shmushmortion. What started off as legal, safe, and rare basically becomes the go-to for care for Planned Parenthood. For family care, it becomes the go-to. While I think most people would agree that medical assistance in dying should be legal, safe, and rare, it's now just another option. Oh, you have chronic pain, you're depressed. Well, you can take some medications. We can put you on some antidepressants, or we can kill you. Which one do you want right now? For eligible patients who don't need to have a terminal illness, but simply a life-limiting disability, it is not so much that physicians are encouraging them to choose euthanasia, but rather proposing it as a choice of equal standing among other options for treatment and palliative care, in some situations without the patients themselves raising the topic. You can go on and read some more of that if you want to. I don't think we need to read more of that. Shocking. But liberal. It's Justin Trudeau's liberal Canada because it's 2021, right? Why are there so many women on your cabinet? Because it's 2021 or 2020, whenever he said it. But I'll fire them if they don't do what I say. It's Justin Trudeau's Liberal Canada. We propose euthanasia to patients who never even ask for it. Nurses can administer it. No oversight. Oh, yeah, and that budget that's going to balance itself, we have a financial interest in administering this to as many people as possible, because not only will it not increase the cost of the healthcare systems, there might be substantial savings if we do it. This is what happens when life has ceased to have intrinsic individual value. People running around saying for the greater good, and I posit that for the greater good means individual rights. Now we're seeing it actually play out in real time. It's only going to be a matter of time before it becomes numbers and statistics. Well, your life costs too much for the greater good. You really should think about offing yourself. This is if it works properly. This is what's happening. If it works properly according to how it's designed. Shocking. And let me pull up an article just so I don't make a mistake on this. I don't want to. This was the article about Alex Stein. I'm going to get to that afterwards. Google. It was Euthanasia Law Sunset Clause. I just want to make sure that I remember. Oh, sorry. I should probably put it in Canada. That's what we saw there. Oh, where was it? Let's see if it was on the justice.qc.ca. On February 6, 2015, the Supreme Court issued the decision. That's the one that basically said it's unconstitutional because it prohibits physicians from assisting consensual death of another person. Let's see where the mental illness part is. Now we're not going to get it there. Damn it. The one time I don't have it up, I think there's going to be a joke about that. Medical assistance in dying. It can't be from a government website. They passed the legislation and then expanded it to mental illness because the argument was, if we don't also offer this to the mentally ill, it will be discriminating against the mentally ill. And I'm using the term just because that's the term that they use. Mental unwellness, mental issues. It would be discriminating against the mentally ill, not to allow them to have the option for medical assistance in dying. From saving terminally ill with no other options, the agony of a slow and painful death, inevitable, slow, painful death, or even inevitable, quick and painful. From there to the mentally ill, to lifelong disabilities that are just too much to deal with. What better way to alleviate the burden on the healthcare system than just to suggest that they commit suicide? It used to be, by the way, that inducing someone to commit suicide who wouldn't otherwise have done it or thought about it is a crime. I'm fairly certain it still is a crime. Canada is now a meme stock. I think I was on the Charlie Kirk show earlier today talking about this. I think it's, I think now people have become aware of it. So no death penalty for murderers, but a death penalty for anyone who asks for it. They don't even have to ask for it, by the way. The doctors are suggesting it as treatments on par with other treatments. Just joined late, Fauci, aka Science, retiring. You do not fear that he is stepping aside only for someone worse to take his place. We're going to get there, Pasha. We'll get there in a second. No, I want to get to the meme stock before anything else. That's what's going on in Canada, people. Justin Trudeau's Liberal Canada. Some of us have been saying this for a little while, even before this happened. Justin Trudeau's Liberal Canada, lockdowns, curfews, that forced medical procedures, arguably, how did Obama put it? He put it so eloquently. Arguably, what was the word he used? Clinical testing at a global scale. Arguable clinical testing on individuals, now pushing it on children. Justin Trudeau's Canada, Justin Trudeau's Liberal Canada, looks a lot like somebody else's other country once upon a time. I'm not the one saying it. Forbes, Associated Press. No, it's once you stop having value for the individual, once an individual no longer has value, inalienable rights, they no longer have value or inalienable rights. And cue here to the rant out of network. I'm a human being, gosh darn it. My life has value. No, for the government, it has value to end it early because it's cheaper. But we can cloak it in progressivism. We just want to give them the option to end their own lives, even if they don't ask for it. Okay. Super chats before we go on. The Castro regime 1986 data killed up to 144,000 people, according to various sources. Seems like Trudeau is trying to follow in his daddy's footsteps. I mentioned this statistic yesterday. I mentioned it on Charlie Kirk. Medically assisted suicides in Canada represent over 3% of deaths in Canada. It represents over 3% of total death in Canada. Just let that sink in. There's nothing shocking and, in my humble opinion, egregiously criminal about that. Get vaccinated to protect elderly so they can MAIDs them away. Yeah, that's it. You want grandma to die? Well, Justin Trudeau's new policy has ended the lives of 10,000 grandmas and grandpas. Eugenics was created in the USA. Hitler got his ideas from America. Read the book War Against the Weak by Edwin Black. I know of that history, but very superficially because Barnes has mentioned it a number of times. Pre-Mar-a-Lago raid, I would have said that Dr. Fauci's eventual retirement would protect him from Senator Rand Paul's questions regarding Wuhan and gain-of-function research. But now, I don't know. Even worse, they are pushing Canadian veterans with PTSD towards euthanasia. I heard that story as well. Some things that, you can't believe it until you see it with your own eyes, but we're not going to see it with our own eyes. But now we're seeing enough to know that in as much as we might not be able to see these acts of grotesque inhumanity with our own eyes, there's not much of a doubt that that happens. I mean, we're hearing the stories now. But in terms of Canada becoming a meme stock, and this was the intro I wanted to do yesterday, but couldn't because of technical problems. I just got a text from okay. This is how I wanted to start the show yesterday. I'm going to play Jeremy MacKenzie's 2-minute video. Sorry if you saw it yesterday. Sorry if you saw it yesterday. It might be a little repetitive. I might cut out early. Still don't know what he's wearing in this. It looks like a red brassiere. I'm not trying to be even funny here. I don't know what shirt it is. It is. Anyhow, this is how I wanted to start yesterday's show. So let's just go. Just pull myself out of here.
I'm tired of a lot of things. But one of the things that's getting near the top of that list is I'm really tired of people in positions of authority, experts, leaders, journalists. They act like there's some kind of courageous moral force in the world fighting evil. It's a joke. I'm tired of them willing to talk about me, but they will not talk to me or anyone around me, for that matter. They're going to call me things like a white supremacist, a terrorist, a violent person. I've never been convicted of a crime in my life. I've never even been charged in the army for being late for work. I have a spotless service record.
15-year service record. This, by the way, this is what I was going to say yesterday. I think I've tried to say it 3 times now, so it feels like I've said it, but I don't think I did. That man right there is Jeremy MacKenzie, founder of the, what do they call it? Ideologically motivated violent extremist group known as Diagolon. I knew of Jeremy MacKenzie's face because once upon a time, back in the convoy, when the world was looking at Ottawa and Justin Trudeau took a iron fist, steel-toed boot, and stuck it to the neck of those peaceful protesters. Videos were floating around. I remember seeing this guy, I didn't know what his name was or who he was at the time, talking about this thing, Diagolon, that started off as an internet meme and somehow made it to the parliament for parliamentary debate. And they invoked it as part of the rationale. I don't even remember exactly what the details were for invoking the Emergencies Act, this extremist group called Diagolon. I didn't know his name was Jeremy MacKenzie. Last week, I noticed a bunch of people in the chat saying, why are you pretending not to know Jeremy MacKenzie? And I'm like, I don't know who Jeremy MacKenzie is. I don't remember if I even mentioned this joke, if you heard it, or it was a robot choppy voice. This isn't even a joke. It took me like years to remember the names of my wife's family members. So I'm bad with names. I knew the guy's face, saw a few videos on Instagram. Okay, dude looks interesting, just walking around talking to a camera. I mean, who does that? That's crazy. And then I put together, his name is Jeremy MacKenzie. And we live in this world where everybody now is so suspicious of everybody and everything, because we sit around getting gaslit by a media that tries to imply, suggest, persuade us into thinking that the rise in heart issues now is because of climate change. No joke. I'm going to show you the article later. We live in a world where the fifth pillar, whatever the hell it is, how they refer to the media, the fifth estate, the venerable institution that is supposed to hold the government's feet to the fire, that's supposed to be the watchdog and not the lapdog, have been lying to us through and through for so long. We don't trust anybody, and we begin to suspect everybody. And so there's people out there who, I think, seriously but not maliciously, were thinking Viva's pretending not to know who Jeremy MacKenzie is because Jeremy MacKenzie might be in trouble with the authorities, and Viva wants to cover his butt and doesn't want to get guilty by association by acknowledging that he was watching Jeremy MacKenzie. Okay, I understand all of that, and we have to take a step back every now and again and just put things in perspective. We can be skeptical with people who have proven themselves to be dishonest, disingenuous gaslighters. But for those with a social credit score, benefit of the doubt. First of all, I've had Alex Jones on the channel, and that's not to like besmirch Alex Jones. I've gotten over the fear of guilt by association. I wasn't pretending not to know who Jeremy MacKenzie was. I just never put the face with the name, and I didn't know what was going on with him in real time. Jeremy MacKenzie recently was arrested on gun-related charges, which is always going to sound very scary in the media. And now is being, it seems like this website called the Anti-Hate, Canada Anti-Hate, or Canadians again, Canada Anti-Hate seems to have it in for Jeremy. And it seems now that the Canadian media and politicians alike are trying to unironically and seriously depict this internet meme that Jeremy MacKenzie had on his show, Raging Dissident, because he is a, as he likes to say, sit-down comic. I saw that from his Instagram description. A comedian, someone who in the last 2 years has taken to the interwebs to express their discontent with the government, 15-year veteran with, unless he's lying, an untarnished what's it called? Record. So, didn't know who he was, but now I know it's all coming together. He's coming on tomorrow at noon. I think it's noon is the rough time that we've scheduled. But when I say that Canada has turned into a meme country, and by the way, Canada anti-Semitism, hold on, I don't know what this is in response to. Once you have seen how the media works, and I have been called alt-right, extreme right, far right, where other people call me a Canadian liberal, when you see what they say about yourself, I don't talk about religion or race because by and large it's totally irrelevant, but when they call me far right, for obvious reasons, it's preposterous on its face. When they've done it to me, and now I see them doing it to someone else, call me cynical, call me realistic. I'm skeptical. Okay. The meme that is Canada, that Canada has become thanks to the likes of Jagmeet Singh. I'm not mispronouncing his name. I'm going to make sure everybody knows that. That's how he pronounces his name. It's on his Twitter bio. It says Jagmeet. Jug rhymes with hug. Meat. Yeah. I'm a moderate. Moderate to some, always right is far right. Touche. When I say Canada has become a meme, and I'm gonna delve. I'm not gonna give Jeremy any pass, and I'm not here to defend Jeremy. He's a big boy. He can defend himself. Why are they calling Jeremy a founder of a group that they've designated as ideologically motivated violent extremism, Diagolon? Well, here we go. Got to pull up all the people. This is your homework for tomorrow, so you won't have to do it tonight, and I won't have to do it in such thorough detail with Jeremy. Antihate.ca. Where have we heard of antihate.ca recently? You may recall, and I don't think I'm mistaken in this. Hold on. I don't want to besmirch the good name of anti-hate. Let me just make sure that they're the same group that are now going after James Top. James Top anti-hate. I believe they're going after James Top as well. I'm not sure if it's the same one. So you have Canadian Anti-Hate Network. Okay, this is what you got here. Make sure that we're seeing the same thing. Canadian Anti-Hate. Okay. On July 28th, we received a cease and desist from James Top or a member of his team. We responded a few hours later to address the falsehoods. Okay, so it is the same group. They're going after James Top. And from what James described in our live stream follow-up where he was on Newfoundland, on the island of Newfoundland, apparently they managed to get one of his venues canceled because they've associated him with hate. James Top, a man who has marched across Canada to protest for, peacefully, lawfully protest for constitutional rights. Anti-hate, and I think it's the same group, went after him. Anti-hate doesn't really like Jeremy MacKenzie. And this is their basis for the accusations that Diagolon, an internet meme, a fictitious land of sane people from Alaska to Florida who connect along a diagonal line, that's become an extremist organization. This is why. Why? You have to ask the question why. They can't make it up out of whole cloth, although they could. There's they've got their iota of evidence if they want to hang their hat on it. Weapon seizure with possible ties to militia network. This is coming from militia network, people. Militia, which has a loaded term to it, and a network which presupposes organization and actual existence, prompts some to leave Coutts blockade. So this is from February. You all have heard of this story because this story, in conjunction with the dude with the Yahtzee flag and the dude with the Confederate flag in Ottawa, day one, got their perfect pictures and then took off and never came back. This was the big story that everyone ran with to say, look at these violent protesters. They were planning. It was conspiracy to take the life of an RCMP officer. And by the way, this is not to undermine any of the charges to the extent that they actually turn out to be true and individuals get convicted for them. This is just to say we've lived in an era now where media has lied day in and day out. They lied about the arson attempt in Ottawa, not the existence of the arson attempt. Y'all might remember this. There was an attempted arson by the protesters, by the Ottawa trucker convoy protesters, to burn down a building. It wasn't a total lie. There was an incident. It just so happens that the individuals responsible or who tried to carry out the act of arson had nothing to do with the protest. But they ran with the story. They persuaded people. They convinced them that that's going to be the lingering memory, and they never came back to correct it in any meaningful sense. So there might have been people who were armed who had sinister plots, conspiracies to take the life of RCMP officers. They ran this as though it had to do with the Ottawa truckers to taint anyone's memory, past, present, and future of the incident. They also tried to use this as the excuse to legitimize or even provide evidence of the existence of a meme, fictitious land group called Diagolon. Early Monday morning, RCMP officers arrested 11 individuals and served warrants on 3 trailers, revealing a cache of weapons. Images released by the police show one plate carrier bearing the flag Diagolon. You all see this. I said it twice now. You all see this white diagonal stripe. Apparently, that's the emblem for Diagolon, what started off and by all accounts has remained a joke meme created by Jeremy MacKenzie during some of his raging dissident podcasts. This is the evidence that Diagolon is actually a militia network that's attempting to carry out acts of violence, and they're calling it accelerationists. RCMP in Alberta arrested a small organized group from within the large protest held at the border in border crossing in Cruz. It was well away from the border crossing. Everyone seems to now recognize it had nothing to do with the Ottawa protests or the border blockade in Cruz. Everyone recognizes that now. They're still sticking with the fact that this is evidence of the militia network Diagolon. Among the gear seized, the black and white flag, Diagolon, the banner of a fictional country used by the network of fans of a collective of conspiracy-focused survivalist streamers called the Plaid Army. This is not a meme, people. This guy has, allegedly on one of these vests, a patch showing the black and white flag of Diagolon, the banner of a fictional country used by the network of fans of a collective of conspiracy-focused survivalist streamers called the Plaid Army. The militia-like network, you see what they just did? They went from something that doesn't exist to affirming an existence. There's a patch of a fictional country. It's a militia network. They have repeatedly said they are armed and preparing for violence. He often expressed sentiments akin to accelerationism, viewing a coming collapse or civil war as necessary to right the tilted course of the country. And then you have this here. It goes on. That's what the anti-hate.ca are hanging their hats on to claim that Diagolon is a militia network. And what did we get here? Let's just see this. Oh, we're not going to be able to get it like that. That's what they're hanging their hat on. Now, the question is this. I don't know how many followers, how many subs Jeremy has. The guilt by association of what is first of all, if these people did have any intentions of carrying out what they're accused of, they should go to trial. They should have a trial by jury of their peers. They should be presumed innocent until convicted in a court of law. I know that that's a very outrageous thing to say these days, especially under such circumstances. The question is correlation between that patch of a fictitious country called Diagolon and a network that is actually a militia group of Diagolon. Jagmeet Singh. Hold on. Let me just scroll down here. Let me just scroll down here for 1 second. You got to read. I mean, I'm giving Jagmeet a hard time on Twitter because he's an idiot. He's an absolute, and I would say dishonest, but he's either stupid or dishonest. He's either stupid or dishonest. And if he's dishonest, he's quite literally willing to tear the fabric of Canada apart simply so he could score cheap political points against someone who should be his actual ally, not his actual rival, the Conservative Party, Pierre Poilievre. Remember, people, are we seeing what I'm seeing here? No, we're not. Jagmeet Singh has teamed up with Justin Trudeau, an individual who some might consider to be literally a mass murderer. I mean, like when you euthanize 10,064 people in a year, some of whom have family members that say there was no oversight and we didn't want this to happen, people might start calling you names. I mean, Forbes is starting to suggest that Justin Trudeau's Liberal regime is actually closer to a Nazi regime. The man who Jagmeet Singh should probably be working with, he's fighting against using the dumbest things on earth to do it, notwithstanding the impact it's going to have on Canada, Canadian society. That's it. There's no. It's either dumb or it's dishonest. Neither of which is good right here. Look at this. First of all, I love the fact that my response to Jagmeet's tweet, it didn't out-tweet his tweet, but my goodness, it came close. This is Jagmeet Singh. The Jagmeet Singh. The man, by the way, who called people who opposed mask mandates selfish right-wing extremists who didn't care about community. They don't care about social good. They're very selfish. They only care about themselves. And then 2 weeks later, he was caught not wearing a mask, breaking the COVID rules, hugging his buddy who was getting out of a Beamer. Life's good to be with the king, Jagmeet. Calls everybody names, 2 weeks later gets busted, and then he says, oh, I made a mistake. I just wanted to live normally. Jagmeet, this is his latest bout of stupidity or dishonesty. Maybe Mr. Poilievre didn't know who he was shaking hands with, but now he does. Jeremy MacKenzie. Will he denounce Jeremy MacKenzie and Diagolon, designated as violent extremists by Canada's Integrated Terrorism Assessment Centre? Or will he continue to wink at white supremacy? Will he denounce Jeremy MacKenzie, an online comedian, and Diagolon, a fictitious country connecting Alaska to Florida that apparently has some goat as its like leader? I don't even know the details. Jeremy's going to explain it. Designated by you see how the wrap-up smear works? Canada's Integrated Terrorism Assessment Centre, if they did indeed designate Diagolon a violent extremist group, we've got a problem, Houston, and it's not necessarily Diagolon. Diagolon might be problematic. Jeremy MacKenzie might be a white supremacist. 15-year veteran, probably gave more to the country than Jagmeet Singh will ever give to the country, because Jeremy MacKenzie and other veterans, they sacrifice themselves for the country. They don't profit from it while they do it. Jagmeet Singh, he's got more designer bikes than a person should have. Go read this article out of Toronto. He's a nightclubber. He's got fancy designer suits. He's got watches. He gets paid a ton of money to serve the people. He took 3 pay raises during COVID. Jeremy MacKenzie served for 15 years, from what I understand, untarnished record. Maybe. But if our Canada's Integrated Terrorism Assessment Centre is designating a fictitious country as a terrorist threat, we've got problems in Canada. My response, hold on. So he got 1,200 retweets and 330 quote tweets. My response in his thread, 513 retweets. That's damn good. Are you seriously unaware that Diagolon is an internet joke? The Canadian anti-hate movement itself confirmed this. They did. Oh, but they also said that we found a vest with a Diagolon patch on it. Therefore, they're an actual militia network. Are you really this stupid, Jagmeet? Or is it worth tearing Canadian society apart for cheap political gain? Because he just wants to score points against Pierre Poilievre, who by all accounts, who apparently Pierre Poilievre now is guilty by association for anybody who he shakes hands with, even assuming Jeremy MacKenzie is a bad person. Do you know what's funny, by the way? Jagmeet Singh photo, liberation. If this is the game, Jagmeet, if this is the game, it's a dangerous game for you to be playing. I think this. Oh, National Post. I think this is a dangerous game, Jagmeet, since you've opened the door for it. As Jagmeet Singh condemns terrorism, second video shows him speaking alongside Sikh separatists. But no. Pierre Poilievre shook the hand of Jeremy MacKenzie at a political pit stop. Apparently, by the way, Jeremy MacKenzie is trolling the entire interwebs yet again, and it's working. Now, Pierre Poilievre shakes his hand. Guilty. Are you going to denounce it? Jagmeet, I think you've got some questions to answer. The same ones you just asked Pierre Poilievre. If I'm just applying your rules to yourself, I mean, you're so quick to apply the rules to other people. Selfish, alt-right, right-wing extremists, don't care about community. And then 2 weeks later, you're not wearing a mask and you get busted and you apologize. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, Jagmeet. And I think, there might be a few more questions to answer as far as you're concerned than shaking the hand of the founder of Diagolon, Jeremy MacKenzie, internet sit-down comic. Okay, fine, done. Alex Stein is going to come on in a little bit. But no, you did not miss prime time 69. He's coming on in 10 to 25 minutes. So I told him I will have no problem carrying over the crowd until we get there. So that's it. Internet meme we have become. Canadian Girl 2. Oh, is this the sequel to Canadian Girl 1 who got booted from the interwebs? Canada has always exploited that the Canada has always killed vulnerable, forced me to have it's amazing when you take people who are vulnerable in distress and then make certain recommendations. Wow, it's amazing how when you plant the seed, you can sort of sometimes guide the outcome. Maybe it's the fifth estate, maybe it's crap, maybe it's Maybelline. Media is referred to as the fourth estate, but the fifth column is an accurate term. Okay. And this is the same group that falsely attributed the Nazi flyer to the convoy. It was actually a photo taken in Florida. Oh, the Nazi flyer, like an actual flyer. Yep. No apologies, no corrections. That's how they roll, people. Throw out the accusation and the damage is done. It's called I think the term is sort of either lying or persuasion. Okay, I'm just going to take this down so I can declutter my notes. So anyways, Jeremy's going to be on tomorrow, and we're going to talk about it. I mean, he's got a pending criminal accusation, criminal complaint about firearms violations. That's going to really let the media, run with the smear campaign that they wanted to. It's not going to be a pushover in an interview. I'm not sabotaging Jeremy. He's going to have certain things to explain, and it's going to be a discussion. And then the interwebs will come to their own conclusion after having heard from the man in an honest and open discussion. I know what I think prima facie. I remember Diagolon being a meme. I remember the joke of it being, it came up in Parliament to justify the invocation of the War Measures Act, now called the Emergencies Act. What do you think happens when you get caught being stupid? When you get caught duped by a meme and invoking the nuclear weapon of legislation? You can't admit that you made a mistake because that would make you an idiot. That would make you dangerous to democracy, as I believe Justin Trudeau has proven himself to be. What do you got to do? Double down. Get government-funded institutions to carry on with the smear, to carry on with the name calling, so that you can then run articles written by Canada Anti-Hate, by all of these organizations that are subsidized by the government, so you can then justify and say, look, it started off as a meme, but now it's true. Same thing with the AOK symbol from the ADL. It started off as a meme. ADL fell for it like buffoons. And then in order to protect their own ego and their own credibility, they have to make it real. So they can then say, oh, it started off as a joke, but now it's real. Now it's real. Oh, you know what? Speaking of idiotic Canadian rubbish, has everyone noticed? Did anyone notice that the app, the ArriveCAN app, allegedly has a review rating of 4.5 stars out of 5 and 550,000 ratings? If anybody believes that, you may as well believe that Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong-un's father, got 11 holes in one on his first round of golf ever. And I tweeted that. Look at this. It's got 4.5 star rating, 550,000 reviews. I briefly scrolled through. I only see 1 and 2 stars. There's a few 4 or 5 stars in here. No. Who are you going to believe? Your lying eyes or your lying government? Propaganda promoting government. Look at this. This is just me. I'm just scrolling through. There's one. There's one. And the comment, absolutely useless. Someone said as a hypothesis that they possibly required everyone to, as terms of use, to rate the app 4 or 5 stars. I don't recall. I don't think I rated the app. Yes, people, I had to download it. I felt like I got digitally penetrated by the government. But regardless, this is just a sample. 1 star, 1 star, 1 star. No, but who are you going to believe, people? Yourself, your eyes, or your government? They would never lie to you. Let me see here. Here we go. This is it. Kim Jong-un scored 11. I mean, it's this level insanity. If anybody doesn't know the story, it's hilarious. Golf course where North Korea's leader scored 11 holes in one in first round ever revealed for the first time. Oh, that's preposterous. That's. I mean, only in a twisted, dictatorial nation could anyone spout such a lie and expect anyone to believe such a lie, right? I mean, who could possibly believe that? You would have to be You would have to think your people are idiots to believe such a lie. A bull. But then again, who would make such a lie so egregious? It has to be true. Kim Jong-il scored 11 holes in one. Don't. Yeah, you'd have to be a crazy dictator to think anybody would believe that lie. Oh, what's this? Number 1 in the travel chart application, 4.5-star rating of 550,000 ratings. That's more than Audible. That's more than Candy Crush. That's more than Among Us. That's more than Apple Music combined. It was actually reduced to 11 for optics. That's more than the dog is going to do something. That's more than probably the 4 most popular apps combined. Now, admittedly, it might have 550,000 downloads. That still seems very high to me. It might have 550,000 downloads. But to say it has 550,000 reviews, and the aggregate of those reviews is 4.5 stars, you have to think that people are stupid to believe that. You have to be a dictator along the lines on par with Kim Jong-un or Kim Jong-il to even have the audacity to put something out there so stupid with the expectation that people would actually buy it. It is not on subscriber mode, so I think we're doing good. There was one more on that before we move on to something else. No, let's just go on to this one. I tell you, they turn memes into news. I don't know which way this went. Did this start off as a meme? Did it start off as someone saying something stupid? Then it became a meme, and now like fake news has to own the meme. You're reading the headline correctly, people. You know what? I'm actually going to read this. Diagolon is Kekistan repurposed. They need the internet wolves to keep the sheep in line. I only knew, I only knew roughly about Kekistan. I mean, I knew the joke, but yeah, that's what I understood it to be as well. You're reading this headline correctly, people. Hold on. Are there bots in the house? I didn't see any bots yet. Oh, this guy. Yeah, I support Justin Trudeau. I support him no longer being in office, being voted out next election. But, oh, let's see here. Okay, people, I'm going to go into subscriber mode only. You've done it. You've done it, bots. Thank you very much. We'll see if, let's go subscribers only and 5 minutes. So, bots, you want to troll? You're going to have to sub and sit here for 5 minutes and listen to me talk. Or hold on. Maybe we'll just do this. Hold on. Just make sure. Ooh. We'll look at Winston for 5 minutes. Yeah, look at this dog. Oh, you smell so good. You smell so good. I'm gonna put him down. He'll stay there. Okay, subscriber mode is on. It's on now. So we'll see how this works. If the bots go bye-bye. You're not misreading that headline. They think we're stupid. And I don't. This is not an accusation. This is a statement of fact. The legacy media thinks you are stupid, and they have nothing but contempt for you. That's a statement of fact. I believe this. And if you believe rubbish like this from ABC News, you are stupid, and the legacy media is right for having nothing but contempt. Anybody who believes this is stupid. And the media is right to have contempt for anybody who will unironically, non-humorously repeat this line. Now, the only saving grace is that this headline, it's not all that entirely accurately reflected in the body of the article. I mean, they basically say, rise in heart disease may be explained by extreme weather conditions, study, except we don't really know why. So in other words, we throw out a wildly unsubstantiated, a wildly over-the-top claim as a possibility, only to subsequently say, yeah, but there's not really that much evidence for it. So let's say, rise in heart disease may be explained by extreme weather conditions. Study. It's not clear why temperature shifts correlate with more heart attacks. That presupposes a conclusion. It's not clear why you haven't even established that temperature shifts correlate with more heart attacks. Can we go back to the hottest summers and see if that holds true? Can we go to cold nations and see if that holds true? Let's just take Canada, for example. There's two ways to easily disprove this attempt to correlate. It's not clear why. It's not clear if. Take a cold country, see if there's been an increase in heart conditions. Take a hot summer, a hot wave, heat wave from the past, and see. Now we're going to put this crazy Sunday on hold because I see someone in the backdrop, and my parents always told me it's not polite to make your guest wait. The guest is Alex Stein, primetime number 99. I got to ask. I got so many questions just to even understand who Alex Stein is. I searched the webs. There's not really a Wikipedia page that gives me the answers that I needed on Alex Stein. You know him. Some of us recently discovered him with the big booty Latina. Jokes I wouldn't make. Some jokes I would find funny. Others, no comment. You know him as the troll of the interwebs right now. The number one troll, the number one most well-dressed troll. Alex, you're coming in. 3, 2, 1. Booyah. Sir, how are you doing?
Viva! Viva Las Vegas! It's primetime 99. Let's go. No, thank you for having me. And, I'm happy you did a little research. You sent me a really funny article. I don't know if you can pull that article up.
Oh, but, I can. I wasn't sure if it would be embarrassing. I don't know what's true and what's not. Hold on. Let me go to my...
well, that's done on purpose. That's done so people don't know. Shoot, my headphones are done. Hold on. Let me do this. Okay.
Get your headphones. I'm going to do this. Oh, son of a beasting. I'll pull it up. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to go to my Twitter feed because that's where I have it in the DMs. Okay, 30 seconds. It was an article I saw. It was a dude named Alex Stein who purported to have lost $70,000 to $80,000 playing fantasy football, but it's from 2014. So I'm sitting here reading this. Hold on. I got to do this. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Meet the guy who lost it. Here we go. Okay. You see this, Alex?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Okay. Beautiful picture. You're holding a baby shark.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What the hell's going on?
Okay, so it's funny. So there's an outlet, a website. It's called Haro, Help a Reporter Out. I don't know if you've ever heard about it, but it's basically just reporters like fishing for stories, fishing for sources. And in this thing, they said, "Hey, look, I'm looking for somebody that lost a lot of money with playing fantasy football." And you're like, "Alex, why would you do this? What would be your motivation for saying that you lost $70,000? Well, I'll tell you what, I am insane for the Ukraine. I have a lot of mental illness. But what I did was my motivation for this was I was going to say that I lost a bunch of money. Then I was going to send it to casinos and see if they would comp me. And Viva, anytime I send this to a casino, I get a free weekend. I literally sent this to Caesars. I sent this to casinos all over the world. And they think that I'm some degenerate gambler. So they'll comp me all because of that stupid article. So I'm crazy like a fox sometimes.
But so, I mean, Alex, like, what do you do? How do you, I was just trying to find out what you did for, like, I don't mean to say a job isn't a job. How do you do what you do now? And then I see like this goes back 7 years or 8 years now. Have you always been doing this? Like, what do you do in life?
Well, kinda. I mean, so I worked for the TV show Cheaters for 10 years, and that's a show where we catch people cheating on their husbands and wives, and it's real popular here in America, and it's distributed by Viacom MTV, and I can only say so much. I signed an NDA, but my point being is in this show, we would go and we'd run in places with camera crews and catch people cheating on their husbands and wives, and we would just basically have no shame. So I'm basically been thrown in the fire. I've been casted in a fire to be this crazy, insane person that makes a fool out of himself in public because I've done it for so long. And so a little bit about me, dude, I was working for Cheaters, and that works, it's like any show, you do it in seasons. So then the other half of the year I was selling cars. And then once I started my podcast a little under 3 years ago, and once I started doing my podcast, I went and started going to public meetings, speaking serious, Viva, like being like, oh, this pandemic, you guys closed the public restrooms at the park and been put in porta potties. Like, how is this more sanitary than, a nice bathroom? They looked at me like I was an idiot. Then I started culture jamming, which is a new term to describe what I do, where I would go and I would just basically say the most insane stuff. Like the biggest one I started off was the Fauci ouchie. I did a rap talking about how much I love the vaccine, give it to my wife, put it in my life, yada, yada, yada. And that blew up. And from there on, Tucker finally adopted me as his biological son, which I always have been. And that's why I'm sitting here with you today, because listen, as a troll, I get trolled. You know, that's the thing, is the bigger I get, the more the trolls that come after me. So I was built for this, Viva. I love that I've been doing this for years. And now that I'm getting some attention, it takes your whole life to become an overnight success.
That expression is beautiful. It's like, also people say it grows like bamboo. It grows 18 feet in a week, but it took 6 years for that seed to lay the roots to grow that fast. Are you in fact only 33 years old?
I'm 34. I don't know why I said I'm 30. I mean, 35. Why did I say 34? I'm 35. And listen, I'm 35. I'm older than I look. I look like a baby. And the reason why I'm able to fund this is I signed a deal with Blaze as a contributor, so they pay me. And then my YouTube channel, you know, is doing well. I do pretty decent from that. And then I got a show coming out in September on the Blaze where I'm making substantially more money. So now now that I'm getting funded by a real corporation, crap's only going to get crazier from now on.
Okay, hold on. So I only put the math together because it said you were 27 in that article. Mm-hmm. So the article was a troll. You didn't lose that much money playing fantasy football. You've been doing this type of stuff for a while. When you said that Tucker Carlson actually adopted you, that's a joke. That's not true, correct?
That's a joke, but Kathy Griffin thinks it's true, because I'm the conspiracy. I'm like if Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones had a baby. That's who I am. So yes, that's why I make that joke, and I kind of look like him a little bit. You know.
Well, I love the idea of culture jamming. So explain what culture jamming is.
Well, I mean, there's different definitions of it, but I think it's just as simply put as the mainstream media has gone so insane now, where there's 72 genders. And I think a good example was Leah Thomas, who was on the men's team for 3 years, was ranked 457th, and then got to take gender hormone therapy and compete against the women and become a number one champion in multiple divisions. Like I think she won multiple events for the NCAA championships. And she gets applauded. She even got nominated for Woman of the Year. So what I try to do what I did is I put on a women's bathing suit and I went to city council and I said, they won't let me swim against the women. They won't let me change in the women's locker room. Why are you doing it? This is bigotry. This is racism. And of course they look at me like I'm an insane person, which I am, but that shows them the hypocrisy that all these people have. They're all hypocrites. And when you jam the most absurd parts of our culture in their face, it wakes people up because, dude, listen to this, Viva, I'm not a leader. People are like, oh, Alex is some conservative. I'm not even conservative. I'm a populist. I'm somewhere in the middle, and I don't want to be a leader. If I am a leader, I want to lead you to go the opposite direction of me. I try to mix absurdity with reality so people can't tell what is real or fake, because I like the Andy Kaufman method. I think that's how we actually make people question the reality in which they live in, because everybody just looks at sudden adult death syndrome, like you said earlier. Oh, that's because of climate change. That's because the weather's getting hotter. It's like, no, dummy, look into it. So I don't want to tell them the information. I don't even want them to agree with me. I just want them to question the reality in which we live in, because basically everything is fake or a lie, in my opinion.
Well, it is. You say it out loud. I've seen it. You get called transphobe and you get called everything. Mm-hmm. The idea that you get up in a bathing suit as an adult male who's been biologically male your whole life, and then you get called names for doing effectively. True, Leah Thomas might have been taking, I don't know, some sort of maybe hormone suppressors, or I don't know how it works, but it's only off by a degree or two, and yet you get lambasted and someone else gets put up on a pedestal, literally. I mean, I guess the question is this: how do you get your content, but the world seems to be dishing it out for you in real time? Yeah,
dude, it's easy. You just put a mirror up to it. But see, that's the other thing. It's like, I'm not even homophobic. I'm not even really anti-trans. If you're an adult and you want to cross-dress, go ahead. My problem is with these kids. Like, I went to an event called Drag Your Kids to Pride event, where this was at a drag show where kids were actually tipping drag queens as if they were like at a strip club. There was parents in there where the kids are playing their video games. The parents are like, put your video game down, watch the transgenders. And this is the problem, is the sexualization of kids. Like, we are literally attacking them with sex. And I don't think that's okay. I think we live in a world now where, forget of like libertarian values, which I agree with, But the idea where teachers are basically assigning kids genders and doing it behind their parents' back, we've gone too far. We've lost the plot. So for me, me exposing that or talking about that, I'm homophobic, I'm transphobic, I'm all these terrible things. And when in reality, I don't even care. As a matter of fact, this is not that popular of a statement. I actually respect drag queens more because at least they just LARP as a woman and it's just temporary than the parents that give their kids gender reassignment surgery because they're in some tomboy phase. So I actually think that what's going on now is even way more intense than any sort of drag event or drag brunch. It's a sexualization of children, all for clout and likes on TikTok and Instagram. It's really sick as far as society has devolved.
I think people have coined the term, I think, like gender dysphoria or gender dysmorphia by proxy, where parents are, they might have their own preferences, but imputing it or imparting it onto their children. And I think you make it clear nobody understands it. And I'll put words in your mouth. You would probably be just as shocked and egreged if parents were taking their kids to strip clubs, heterosexual strip clubs.
Of course.
So I guess the one question is, you have to have thick skin, but do you just shut off the emotional side of your being because of the hate you're going to get? Or the cliche is the positive feedback, the sense that you're actually maybe righting the ship, does that get you through the day?
Well, I don't make the positive comments make me too high or the negative comments make me too low. And I feel like Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock as the wrestling heel. I'm the bad guy. I don't mind being the bad guy. I've always been okay with being the villain. And I do that on purpose. So the fact that I'm actually evoking an emotional response from people, it tells me that I'm winning. It tells me that I'm doing my job. And and I have toxoplasmosis. This is Angus. This is my youngest cat. He's a freak. I'm worried he might get monkeypox. He runs to my neighbor's house sometimes. I want to keep him protected so much so, Angus. I care about you so much. But my point being is in this day and age of content, we're losing all the good content because of political correctness. So really, I'm just hitting a void of content because I'm being politically incorrect. And you know this, you were similar ages. Like, it wasn't that long ago where people could be politically incorrect. In the 90s, some of the best culture ever, movies that have lasted the test of time. Now the movies and art we get is total crap. And it's all because it's all woke, political correctness. It has to have a, Latino transgender lead character instead of just being about the story or just being funny. And that's why I think the reason why I'm being successful is I'm filling a huge void where other people should be doing the same thing as me. And that's what makes you feel the best. People are like, oh, you like the cloud, you like having subscribers, you like, having a YouTube channel, this and that. My favorite thing, and I'm not saying this to virtue signal, I love when people send me a message or come up to me and say, you know what, I went and I spoke at my city council because of you. I went and I spoke at my school board because of you. Because I realized then I'm actually making a change, because public speaking is people's biggest fear. It's up there with like arachnophobia, flying. I believe it's higher than those two things. So if I can convince a person to go speak out for what they believe in, then I love it, because if nobody speaks up for yourself, nobody's going to do it for you unless you speak for yourself. So that's the problem in society. We all are just laying down and letting the government say sudden adult death syndrome is the reason why people are dying because of climate change. It's insane.
Okay, now two questions. You've gotten big enough where we saw one video where someone knew you by name. You didn't change your name. You seem to be, at the very least, even in your role playing, in your act, you're still underlying honest. You say your name, you say your age. Do you think you're going to have to get to a point where you're going to dress up, conceal your name so that people don't identify you because you might be getting too popular for your own good?
Well, it's funny you say that. It's kind of like the Sacha Baron Cohen effect. And even though his politics are totally different than mine, I really respect him. I think he's one of the greatest comedians. And like I said, Andy Kaufman, is they go do this in person. They play these characters. And really, that's what I'm doing. I'm playing a character of myself, a caricature of myself. So yeah, I might have to change my name. But I think really what I have to do is I have to pivot. Because like you said earlier, the big booty Latina, and you said some people like it. Even the conservative side, some people didn't like it. Is I had to take the confrontational energy where these politicians, I have to take it out of their home base, the city council meetings or the political meetings, and get them on the street where they're really effective, because this is the reason why. These politicians are all self-righteous, self-important, and they have very thin skin. It's like I went after Dan Crenshaw. I went after Ted Cruz. So I go after the people on the right too if I think that they're anti-American. So my point being is I think I kind of have to pivot my content. I can go to meetings all day long, once or twice a month. Like, that's kind of like bread and butter. That's like just, that's not even trying. But I think what now is I have to evolve and go into these politicians' faces and not be mean, because being mean doesn't work. Like with the AOC thing, everybody freaked out, but I said, oh, you're so sexy, you're a big booty Latina. Yet she loves to sexualize people. She paid New York spent over $700,000 for drag queen for story time for children. The state paid that. She's on RuPaul's Drag Race talking about the sexualization of stuff all the time. She's not just she worked at a bartender in New York City. You don't think she's ever been catcalled? Yet she, as soon as I said it, had to go and play the biggest victim in the world, because they all want to be a victim. So my point being is, if we can go and make fun of these politicians to their face out in the street, then they have to play that victimhood mentality. And it shows that they're all really cowards and they're not standing up for the American people if they can't stand up for themselves.
Well, the particular, I won't say whether or not I liked or disliked the big booty Latina. That was, I think, the one where I felt a little bad until I did a little research about the Vice journalist. But the big booty Latina, and she, complains afterwards, but makes the same types of jokes about herself where, no, you guys can't date me. And so in a way, I appreciate the irony is that they can make the joke themselves, but then it becomes abuse when someone else makes the joke. One question, actually, Alex, is how are you not afraid of getting punched in the face for doing this?
Well, I mean, I played football. I've been punched in the face. I went to LSU in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It was like a wild school. I've been punched in the face. Trust me, I can take a licking and keep on ticking. And what I'm more worried about is getting shot with a gun by somebody on like 10 antidepressants. If I have any fear, that's, a lot of these counter protesters here in Texas, it's open carry. So they do have guns, even the ones that are anti-gun, go figure. So yeah, I'm not really worried. And you brought up the good point with AOC is that's what she literally said. There was a picture of her and her fiance, Riley, where his feet were showing. And she said, oh, people just want to attack me because they want to date me. So that's why this wasn't just some, random thing. I said, oh, I'm going to go actually try to sexualize her and hit on her and see how she reacts. So it proves the point that she obviously doesn't get hit on. She obviously doesn't get sexualized very much, and she makes the biggest deal about it. And on top of that, this is the bigger message. It said the Capitol Police didn't stop me from talking, which is my First Amendment right. And then she came out after voting for 3 hours and came out and threw the Capitol Police under the bus and said January 6th, the rioters were let in. So go figure on these people in their thin skin.
Oh, we some of them were let in. There's no question about that.
Of course.
Okay, but now here's the other question. The Vice journalist at the CPAC. You see, from what I read online, I don't know how prominent it is. You took some flack from some Christian leaders who thought it was mean. Even I gotta tell you, even I watching it, I felt bad a little bit. I don't like. I don't laugh at
it. Makes you cringe, and it's supposed to make you cringe. But this is the other thing: is if you read some of her headlines, she writes headlines like "the crypto crash is the worst thing for white supremacy," because like a lot of white people have crypto. All she does is make this January 6th content, just demonizing people, saying it's worse than 9/11. And I'm just telling you, if you just look at her resume of stuff, she's one of the worst journalists to ever exist. And the reason why I specifically went after her is because she went after my girl Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's one of the few politicians that associates with me, because Marjorie Taylor Greene has a sense of humor, unlike a lot of these politicians. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go call her out. I'm going to call her a fake journalist, because Vice is full of crap. It used to be good back when Gavin McInnes was there, or even a little bit after that. But now it's literally just drug content, or basically content that just says, America you're evil if you're from America. And that's why we got to call these, dude, the media you're just talking about is the enemy of the people. They will sit in your face and lie about Hunter Biden's laptop. They'll lie about anything, not just for clicks. They don't even care about clicks and money. They wanted to create some sort of narrative that we all believe lies. And that's why I don't trust the media. And I think it's just very obvious that's one of the biggest issues we have in America is the lies from the media.
And I'll say this just to cover my own tushy. It made me uncomfortable a little bit. I felt a little bit bad, but this is true. And this is where, if you're going to dish it out like you do, Alex, you have to be prepared to take it, like I'm certain you are. That Vice journalist, when you're making fun of her for her mask, and like it was hilarious contextually, but I could see her saying, oh, you're harassing me. When she runs headlines equating the love of the outdoors with being extremist white nationalist or white supremacist, which she literally did. There is a material difference between making fun of someone for wearing a mask, which might be crass, crude, mean, and whatever, versus calling people white nationalists, extremists, white supremacists, whatever, which has serious impacts. And so just only in a sense of cosmic justice, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If she wants to call people extremists, white nationalists for loving the outdoors, you can Google the headline. She can certainly deal with that. But I just say you're walking a risky line, because you might be more easy to, I won't say cancel, but it'll be easier to turn the crowd on you
Of
than on her.
course, Viva, and this is the thing. The bigger I get, the more haters. All these people, like, making hit pieces about me, content about me. There's a whole ecosystem of reacting to Alex Stein. And what a lot of the haters don't realize is they're my biggest fan. They're the ones that are obsessing over me. And there's other people before me, way bigger than me, like Trump, Alex Jones, that have all been canceled. So the possibility of me getting canceled, that's a strong possibility. But at the same time, I know that I'm being effective. So like Tess Owen, she can't handle the hate. And there's a lot of people that hate on me. And I'm telling you what, I love it. I eat it up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because that's just what comes with the territory. So me making this content that is definitely a little edgy, like me getting in reporters' faces, there's not a lot of people that do it. And I'm not trying to get people to pat on my back, but it just goes to show you it's a void. We need more people, more independent journalists calling out the mainstream media. And what is that going to do? It's going to bring a lot of hate. And guess what? I get death threats. I get all kinds of threats in my inbox. I'm okay with it. I can deal with it. I'm happy that I'm triggering this many people.
Where are you from? Born and raised?
Born and raised Dallas, Texas. And, I lived in Los Angeles for a little bit. I graduated from LSU in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So, I have some world experience. I've been, all over America. And I think that's the problem. I know you're in Canada. I think that's the problem with America right now. It's like, you look at all this bail reform, especially in California and New York, where criminals are committing, serious felony crimes and getting let out of jail. Like, this is a purposeful, and especially the 87,000 IRS agents that are going to go after people making under $400K and get about $20 billion in back taxes when we give $100 billion to the Ukraine. So my point being is America is heading in a direction where they're totally trying to destabilize the middle class. And as a middle class person, I'm trying to fight back. And I said this earlier, don't follow me. I'm not a leader. I'm not a role model. Like Chuck Barkley said, like Charles Barkley said in the 80s, do not do what I do. Only one person can be this crazy, but somebody needs to do it. Somebody needs to call out the hypocrisy and lunacy that we're currently living in. And like I said, I'm filling that void. I'm one of the few people doing it.
You said you played football, and I just take for granted everybody on screen is 5'6" and 158. How tall are you?
Yeah, I'm 6'3". I'm 250 pounds. I'm a beast. I'm a big machine. You can see me. I'm in a women's bathing suit all over the internet. I'm in my thong, so you can see I got a big old dumper. I got big, strong legs. Now I'm a big, powerful man.
Oh,
you live in Florida, but you're from Canada.
I'm from Canada. We moved down here. It's I don't think what you do could go anywhere in Canada, because people, they don't have a sense of humor. They take themselves, politicians and the political establishment take it way too seriously. And people who follow politics are not quite as invigorated as in the States.
Well, Viva, wasn't there a comedian that got sued not that long? I mean, this is a while ago. Yeah, for making jokes inside of a comedy club.
His name was Mike Ward. He made a joke about another celebrity kid who had a disease called a Treacher-Collins syndrome. So he had a misshaped head. He had a hearing impediment, so he had hearing aids. He made a joke. The kid got famous because it was a Make-A-Wish type thing. He ended up singing for the Pope. Became an untouchable celebrity in Quebec. So much so he was called. His bit was called Les Vaches Sacrées, which is the sacred cows in French. And he said, Celine Dion, Jérémy Gabriel, people you can't make jokes about. And then he made a whole joke about Jérémy Gabriel, this kid. He thought he was terminally ill, sang for the Pope. Kid's not dead. Kid sued him before a human rights tribunal, one at the lower level, one at the appellate level, and it went to the Supreme Court, overturned 5-4.
So he ended up getting overturned 5-4. Well, good for. My gosh.
I think it took like 6 years. It cost the guy however many hundreds of thousands of dollars. Nuts. So we have a very, very different political, artistic environment. But,
well, Viva, I want to make this point too. So, basically on social media, there is no free speech. In these city council meetings, this is one of the last places where free speech exists. You can't really say the N word. You can't say just totally cuss like a sailor. But in those places, you basically can say whatever you want. And on the internet, you can't. You get canceled. So I think here in America, as long as we still have the First Amendment and the Second Amendment to right to bear arms and be able to say what we want, some people will let you do that. But it's waning every day. Less and less people are giving you the right that was God-given in the Constitution.
That, now that you mentioned actually that what's it called? The meeting. What are they called? The city council.
Any public meeting, city council, town halls, school boards. There's all kinds of different ones.
The one with Omar, where you kept on repeating his name. I'm going to ask you this: do you know that that's going to get someone angry, or do you have a very good perception of people and what's needling them, and so you dig into that?
Well, no, because he told me not to say Omar, and then it's like, I'm going to say Omar again on purpose because I want to get kicked out because it's like, Curb Your Enthusiasm. People like that awkward interaction. I'm the king of awkwardness. I don't have a lot of shame. I can walk into a room very fearless because I have toxoplasmosis. It's a parasite in the cat's fecal matter that turns you into a crazy cat lady syndrome, and it's so strong it actually makes rats go into like a cat, thinking that they're like buddies, and they'll kill it. So I think I've actually gone insane where I'm fearless in a way that I don't really care. And I think that's like my strongest suit is that I know I'm needling these politicians. I know I can get kicked out of the meeting, but my middle name is Escort because I've been escorted out of so many buildings.
What do your parents say about this?
Well, my mom passed away, and she passed away, because, COVID stuff. She got vaccinated, got sick thereafter, was given, we can only say so much, we're on YouTube, but she was, died in my arms very recently. And that's another reason why I'm so invigorated to do this is because I lost the person I love most in the world. So my point being, it's like, that was the hardest thing I've ever dealt with. My mom dying in my arms. I hate to get all serious. So I know when I go to these meetings or I go and get in front of a politician's face, nothing will ever be as hard as that. So I've basically been war torn. I have so much PTSD that anything else compared to that is nothing. It's just like a walk in the park. And then my dad, of course, he's freaked out. He cannot believe it. I mean, he gets a little joy sometimes because he has a lot of friends that we're in the conservative neighborhood. Like, oh, we love what Alex is doing. We saw him on Tucker, but he's honestly nervous. He doesn't want me to go to jail, get arrested for getting in these politicians' faces. So he's a little more. My mom was my biggest supporter. She loved the trolling because I was doing it while she was alive. She loved it. My dad, not so much.
Is your mom's passing? That was public knowledge?
Oh yeah. I got videos about it. I'm very open about it. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how I could hide it. Like I said, I mean, it's like the biggest tragedy that I've ever faced in my life. So it's something, and I'm a very emotional person. I wear my heart on my sleeve. So I mean, it's kind of what radicalized me because I was already pretty radical. But after that, I mean, dude, a lot of these pandemic protocols, if none of that would have happened, it would have been a totally different story for my mom.
I want to maybe ask you a few more questions on this because now sadness is an understatement, but rage would be another sentiment. Maybe I'm projecting, but I mean, you have to be incensed, enraged at the circumstances that led to that.
100%. It's pure rage. I mean, that's when I also think too, whenever I'm like, people are like, oh, do you have so much energy? How are you able to travel and all this stuff? Because a lot of times when I'm tired, I just think about oh, am I as tired as my mom? Am I tired? Am I going to lay down? I'm going to be dead. I have a very short time span here on earth. I'll sleep when I'm dead type situation. And I'm not saying that just cliche. I actually felt that way. I'm like, oh man, there's just so much stuff I wish I would have got up. And not that I was really close to my mom. I saw her basically every other day. My point being is there's still a lot more stuff I wish I would have done with my mom. So that's what I think about now. It's I got to go do this. I got to grind as much as possible because there's going to be a time when I can't do it. So yeah, I'm filled with rage. I'm filled with piss and vinegar, as they say, in order to go after the liberal world order, and not just the liberal world order, the conservative world order. Just go after the establishment because they do not care about us. As a matter of fact, they want us sick. They want us dependent on antidepressants. They want us on the government teat. And I want to try to, like I said, not be a leader. Don't follow me, but I want to try to make people question the reality in which we live in because it's basically all lies.
May I ask siblings?
No, only child. So that makes things tough too. Yeah, I'm an attention whore in that sense. It's just me, Wow, I appreciate that, Carrie. Very grateful to Alex for bringing so much joy and insight. And honestly, we live I keep on saying that, there's no joy left in the world. There's no humor. We've lost our sense of humor. We're all fighting over toilet paper at the beginning of the pandemic. Now we're all fighting over whatever the government can do to trick us, monkeypox, this and that. We've all become more radicalized on both sides. So unless we meet in the middle, unless we stop fighting each other, we're never going to go after the politicians and the people in power that are causing us this nightmare.
What are you going to have planned for the upcoming November elections? And
well, I got a lot planned. I mean, I'm going to first week of September. I'm going back to DC while they're in session. So I'm going to go. Hopefully, I want to get Eric Swalwell. I want to get Ilhan Omar for marrying her brother. I mean, I just want to keep on going after these people. I got a show coming out on the Blaze very soon, and that's really going to be a big deal because once that show takes off, like I said, it has a budget. I have a lot of I'll have a lot of tools at my discretion that I don't have now. So I think it's only going to get more insane. And my show is not going to be a normal talk show. It's going to be kind of like the old Ali G shows. It's going to be a lot of me doing the man on the street and doing insane interviews, doing insane stunts in order to bring attention. Because like I said, I'm an attention whore. So I'm good at getting attention. I just want to bring attention and shine the spotlight on all the absurdity that's our current reality.
I just had a question and I just forgot it.
That happens because I talk so damn much. You lose it.
It'll come back in a second. Oh, that's it. Favorite bit you've ever done?
Well, of course it has to be. Well, okay, I take it back. My favorite one in person was the AOC because that blew me up. That made everybody on the left know who I was. They couldn't ignore me. Then Yahoo, they had to write all this stuff. Who is this left-wing guy that's sexualized? And that's the other thing. When AOC, when it first happened, she was actually kind of receptive, like, oh, let's get a selfie. Then one of her staffers came down and took my picture, and that's when I handed her a card. I was like, I'm Alex Stein, I work for the Blaze. I'm a person. I exist. Like, I'm on the internet. And then when she realized like I was an actual human being, or like I was not that I'm somebody, but that I exist on the internet and have a decent following, that's when she lost it. She took off her mask outside. She made the 10 selfie videos. That's where I'm like waving in her video. So that's my favorite one because it had the biggest effect. Now, my favorite one, though, was my prayers for Ukraine, where I did, where I rapped about Vladimir Zelensky. I don't know if you saw that one, but that one went super viral and had a bunch of remix. And as a matter of fact, in honor of that, I'm going to a meeting tonight and I'm going to rap about losing Dr. Fauci. Please don't go. I think I'm going to do my Dr. Fauci, Brian Stelter rap tonight in honor of them both exiting the political stage left.
This might be the actual good segue to the next question. I suspect I know the answer. Anyone that you regret, or in hindsight, you say, yeah, I kind of went just a tad too far?
I mean, not really. I mean, of course, there's times like I guess internally, I'm like, I wish I would have zigged instead of zagged type situation. I wish I would have done this, I'm Monday morning quarterback. But not really. I haven't even done that much. I mean, I've only been doing this so long. So as long as I'm not in jail or really, like facing serious criminal lawsuit, and which I'm not so far, knock on wood, I haven't really done something like, oh, I wish I didn't do that. Now, there's things I wish I would have done a little differently, but like things that I wish there's a saying, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. So no, I got to go out and take as many shots as possible in order to score some goals. So no, and I've had a lot of swings and misses. People in the chat, oh, this wasn't good. Oh, swing and a miss. Well, shut up, bitch. Like, perfection is the enemy of good. Like, not everything is going to be perfect. Not everything's going to be a super viral video. You just got to keep taking as many bites of the apple as you can. And sometimes a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
Where can people, where they know where to find you, but what are your social media platforms?
Well, I'm on Twitter temporarily until they kick me off. I'm on Instagram, Primetime Stein. Those are my two main ones. And, I'm on YouTube. I have a pretty decent channel on YouTube. And, if you guys follow me, please be on the lookout. I know you have a huge channel. Like I said, let me do this a little press tour. I have a show coming out on the Blaze. I'd love to have you on it. And I'd love to just kind of, I want to do a different spin, like a kind of a conservative version of the Ali G show. I want to do something like nobody's ever seen, because people are like, oh, Alex, you're so creative. Well, first of all, I'm not the first person to go to a city council meeting and act a buffoon. But what I've done is I've kind of repurposed it in a way, instead of just making, innocuous jokes, actually trying to have some sort of message behind it that brings attention to a social issue that's not getting the proper attention, or the attention that it's getting is all lies and obfuscated by the mainstream media.
Now, I want to see if anyone in the chat has any questions, people, before I'm going to see. I flagged some. We got Bravo. Hang in there, Alex.
Thank you, Maureen.
Let me see here. Now, I don't know what this means. Why did Cassidy Campbell dress like a woman and pretend to protest you?
Oh, that's not true. That's another troll.
Okay. I don't even know.
Stupid people, and then people think I'm Steven Crowder. People think it's fake. I love it. But see, that's the other thing is, well, what I realize now that I'm so big, now you have like these online stalkers, which is normal. But these people just make content, like they don't have anything to make content about, so they just make content about me. And they try to say, oh, this is fake. There's people that think that I'm in cahoots with AOC, that AOC and I planned that. And as a conspiracy theorist, I love it. See, I always put a lot of symbolism in my stuff, like the all-seeing eye and 33. A lot of these because I'm a conspiracy theorist, because I want people to be confused. I want people to ask the question, is this real or is this fake? So I think it's actually pretty brilliant when they fall into my trap and they think it's all fake. I love it. It actually makes me feel pretty good. Like, I can trick anybody.
And my problem is now, once bitten, twice shy. I pull up chats. I don't know what the references mean sometimes, and I don't want to step into drama for the sake of it.
I don't care. That's what I'm saying. Everywhere I go, people are just follow me. I have a big following. I'm like the Rolling Stones now.
Someone says you got to troll Trudeau. I mean, you might be able to get away with some good stuff in Canada.
I would love to go after Trudeau. I would love to make fun of him, call him, Fidel Castro's son to his face. That's what I think that's what I would do. Like, did your mom bang Castro? Did that happen? He would not like that. But he's buddies with Gavin Newsom, and Gavin Newsom is probably going to be the Democratic nominee, I'm guessing, because I don't think it's going to be Joe Biden. So we kind of have our own. Gavin Newsom is kind of America's version of Justin Trudeau.
I see. Now, this is a joke that I clearly don't get. Tell him 100% you believe in the moon landing.
Okay, it's another one. Of course, I'm anti. I don't believe we landed on the moon. I don't believe we can go through the Van Allen radiation belt today. So I don't believe that we're able to go from 1969 to 1972 with technology that we accidentally destroyed. So we can get deep into it. But I'm just saying a lot about what they say. NASA is full of crap. And I don't believe, they even admit there's a picture of Michael Collins that they said was like, from the mission. And then they said it was just a promo pic. No, I do not believe we've put a man on the moon. Like I said, I'm a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist. So don't believe me. Look into it yourself.
Well, I'll even come to you. I don't know if you're being serious or not.
I am. I don't believe the moon landing.
I know what I believe because, it's ingrained in your psyche. But when I did see that soundbite, and it's not a soundbite, it's an interview where the guy says, we destroyed the technology and we can't reconstitute it. I understand now how people could believe it. So it's
some Don Pettit. It doesn't make sense. And this is what I don't understand is how we were able to go through the Van Allen radiation belt twice, some of the most deadly radiation possible. And we were able to take film there. And on top of that, we were able to make a phone call with Richard Nixon with basically no delay without a cell phone. And listen, they had less technology than a TI-83 calculator, and they can't recreate that. Oh, we don't have the manufacturing to make that part. Shut up. It's all bullshit.
Whether you agree with Alex or not, if you go, I've looked into it. It's not something that my channel's about, but I understand the arguments, and there's a number of them. The real-time cellular connection to the moon was another one that's interesting. But do I want to ask? I'm not asking anymore in the chat. Okay, Alex, I'm going to continue ranting and raving for a little bit afterwards. But where are you going to be tonight?
I'll be in Plano, Texas, going insane for the Ukraine. Like I said, tonight, it may not go viral. It may go viral. Who knows what the heck is going to happen? But I'm going to go out there. I'm going to rap, and I'm going to yell, and I'm going to scream, and I'm going to do it all for Dr. Fauci because I want one more ouchie. Please don't go, Dr. Fauci. You did such a great job in the 80s with AZT. I'm going to miss you. We need you, especially with monkeypox. Please, I don't want to get monkeypox, Dr. Fauci. Don't leave us.
You're not live streaming this, right? You're gonna go and
no, I'll post it later. Just because it's such a pain, and the quality is crap on the live stream. But it'll be up very soon, so you guys will see it. I'm gonna go insane, put the needle in my vein, get vaccinated for the Ukraine. You know it.
All right, Alex, I'll message you after this. Phenomenal. Some people say we should do this once a week. Well,
let's do it more, and I'm gonna have you on my show. No, Viva, it's an honor and it's a privilege. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you very much for coming. It's great. Everybody, I'll put your links in the pinned comments. Everyone will know, and I'll come on 1,000%.
Okay, cool. See you guys.
Right. See you soon. Bye. Oh, I never thought I would see someone with more energy than me. Holy crap. The toxoplasmosis, by the way, again, I don't know if he's joking or not, but I know that it's true. It comes from cat poo. I remember learning about that in Train Spotting. There was that scene when Ewan McGregor, I think he's going into not rehab, but he's watching TV with his parents, and there's a show they're watching. It says toxoplasmosis. I just remember that's where I heard toxoplasmosis. Thank you, Alex. You are amazing. Birds of feather flock together. I take that as a compliment. And let me just see some of the chats, which I'm not getting into trouble with here. Diagolon is okay. We got that. Incidentally, temperature shifts correlate to vaccination rates. Okay, I don't know about that, but I see where you're going with that. In the 90s, we called what parents are doing to their kids Munchausen by proxy. Munchausen is the illness, the mental illness by which you pretend to be sick because you enjoy the sympathy you get from others. Munchausen by proxy is when you make other people sick, and it was kids, typically vulnerable people, so you could get the sympathy of an adoring public. It's like, oh, and you can understand it. When you're a kid, you pretend to be sick because you get more attention from your parents. You get to stay home from school. You get to have ice cream. Plus ça change, plus la reste le même, as we say. More things change, the more things stay the same. Luke Reed, I agree to disagree with you on that. AOC got off the encounter, and when she was complaining, she was actually bragging. And why she talked about her big, juicy which was not even said by Alex. Alex is a gentleman who would not use the ASS word. People, that was fantastic. Okay. Now I think we have a few minutes left before I have to go for a jog and before I get this. Oh, so this was the article. So I come across this doing my due diligence on Alex Stein. I was like thinking, oh, maybe he was comes from a rich family. Maybe he made his millions when he was a kid, and that losing $70,000-$80,000 gambling on fantasy football. This is an article in The Insider, and now that I know him, it kills my fantasy team because I always draft the Cowboys, Stein said. I can't bet on other players in the NFC East because I hate those guys. Stein, 27, says he's lost a lot of money because of his emotional investment in the Cowboys. I'm down maybe 70, 80,000, he said. He's not exactly sure how much. Like, I know the questions that I would ask if this were my interview, which would allow me probably to say something smells fishy, not running with this. What did I just do here? Oh, okay, there we go. It came sort of at the end. Stein said he doesn't have debt. Oh, that makes, but he also doesn't keep detailed track of his finances. He works in reality TV. Okay, there you go. As well as a bail bondsman and a car salesman. And nobody asked the question as to how this guy could lose, if this is all true, $70,000, $80,000 and not keep track of it. Yeah. I would have been a good journalist if I were a journalist. Government Munchausen by proxy. That's interesting. What is that? Come on, man. Don't get me in trouble here. Okay, let me go. There was another story. No, that's not it. Oh, yeah, Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney, Fauci, ouchie. And then we're going to call it a night, people. Listen to this. Listen to this. It's pathology. It's pathological madness. It's pathological corruption. Moral virtue. She's the decision maker. She is. I don't want to rail on Sam Harris because I have nothing. I knew nothing about him before the incident, but it's this mentality. This is the Sam Harris rationalization right here. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that democracy is respected.
So this is obviously not the end. This is a new beginning for you. You're starting this political organization. What can you tell us? What are you going to do?
I'm going to be very focused on working to ensure that we do everything we can not to elect election deniers. And I'm going to work against those people. I'm going to work to support their opponents. I think it matters that much.
Will you be getting involved in campaigns against those Republican candidates that are challenging or denying the results of the election?
Yes.
Including your Republican colleagues here in Congress?
Yes.
So this is obviously not the end.
It's an unexplained phenomenon why she's a Republican working against Republicans, effectively outright admitting that she wants to subvert a process to ensure that people who have beliefs that she doesn't share don't get elected. She's going to show those election deniers, she's going to show them by fortifying the elections to ensure that a certain outcome is the outcome. She's going to show those election deniers nobody's messing with the elections, and she's going to mess with things to do it. Oh, sure. She didn't say mess with election. She didn't say she's going to do anything illegal. She's just going to work against Republicans to ensure that the people who are election deniers don't get elected. Fortification incoming, people. Let's just see after Alex Stein. Prime time. I didn't ask him how he got the name. I'm so stupid. We're still green. It's good. It's very good. I think it's very ouchie Fauci. Mr. Fauci's out of office, people. He resigned. We're going to end by reading this. I'm not going to do a dramatic reading. I'm going to do a reading to highlight that when someone literally considers themselves to be some form of a god, lowercase g, this is how they talk. This is how they talk about themselves. Statement by Anthony S. Fauci, MD. Now, I don't want to make too many generalizations, but I have a middle name. If ever you hear me say David A. Freiheit, LLB, judge me. And I'll let you all think about what my middle name is. I am announcing today. the man who is science, the man who is the creator of the Fauci effect. He's resigning, or he's leaving. I am announcing today that I will be stepping down from the positions of Director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, NIAID, and Chief of the NID Laboratory of Immunoregulation, as well as the positions of Chief Medical Advisor to President Joe Biden. He's doing this August. It's going to be effective December. Interesting timing. I will be leaving these positions in December of this year to pursue the next chapter of my career. A lot of people think that that should be retirement, but the damage has been done, unfortunately. I'm sure other people have harsher wishes for the next chapter of his career. Congress, at least the Republicans hoping to take back the House and Senate, have plans for testimony. It has been the honor of a lifetime to have led the NIAID, an extraordinary institution, because I led it for so many years and through so many scientific and public health challenges. By the way, what was your contribution to actually resolving any of those? We've seen Dallas Buyers Club. Everybody who hasn't, you should watch it in conjunction with Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s The Real Anthony Fauci. I am very proud of our many accomplishments. Yeah. Something tells me he wanted not to use the collective our many accomplishments, but in any event, a collective accomplishment is his because he was the head. I have worked with and learned from countless talented and dedicated people in my own laboratory, the NIH, yada, yada, yada. To them, I express my abiding respect and gratitude. People might want to go look at how Fauci treated doctors who spoke out against him. You might want to go listen to the book or read it if you actually do that with your eyes. Real Anthony Fauci. Over the past 38 years, I have had the enormous privilege of serving under and advising 7 presidents of the United States, beginning with President Reagan, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. The re-emerging infectious disease threats, including HIV, AIDS, West Nile virus, anthrax attacks, pandemic influenza, various bird influenza, Ebola, Zika. Who remembers the Zika madness? I was old enough to remember that. Among others. And of course, COVID-19. I am particularly proud to have served as the chief medical advisor for Joe Biden since the very first day of his administration. Not a word about Trump. While I'm moving on, I'm not retiring. After more than 50 years of government service, highest paid federal employee in America was for many, many a decade, or many years at least. I plan to pursue the next phase of my career while I still have so much energy and passion for my field. The Fauci effect. You cannot deny the world of the Fauci effect. I want to use what I have learned as NIAID director to continue to advance science and public health and to inspire and mentor the next generation of scientific leaders as they help prepare the world to face future infectious disease threats. Over the coming months, I'll complete yada, yada. Thanks to the power of science. And we know that he said he represents science. This is him flattering himself. Thanks to the power of me, because I am the science, and investments in research and innovation, which he controlled the purse strings of, billions of dollars. The world has now been able to fight deadly diseases and help save lives around the globe. Yep, globe. Dr. Fauci, Remdesivir called and has some questions. I am proud to have been part of this important work and look forward to helping to continue to do so in the future. Beautiful. Pat myself on the back. I did a good job. I did a good job. Forget the outcome. Just, I did a good job because I said I did. Plus, I controlled a lot of money. I controlled a lot of people's careers. It's arguable as to whether or not I actually did anything to save lives. And it's not so arguable that policy might have actually cost lives, but I am the science. Time employs phrase government corruption. No, it doesn't, KFG. No, it cannot possibly do that. Did you see the Reuters news agency defamed several popular content creators on BitChute and Odyssey? I replied to your tweet about today's show. I'm going to go look. I'd like to see who they're defaming. It's going to come to a point where nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to take even serious accusations seriously if we're not already there. He's harmed the U.S. longer than I have been alive. It's not just that. The Fauci effect is not what Fauci thinks it is. The Fauci effect is actually people no longer having faith in science, in medical institution, or in medical experts. That's what the Fauci effect is. People now questioning what they had taken for scientific granted for their entire lives. And add me to that class of people. Yep. Okay. We're there. Yeah. So that's it. This was phenomenal. I like Alex Stein. I wonder when he relaxes and how he relaxes. I didn't know that about his mother, and that is, it's not enough to change. That will change someone. That's enough to enrage someone with righteous rage. I don't know the details. I know only as much as Alex shared during the show. That's enough to allow someone to live with righteous rage for the rest of their life. Why is he resigning? There's going to be, who said it here? Someone said, why is he resigning? That's not the one I wanted to bring up. Why? Well, okay. Someone said, why is he resigning? Timing is curious. If there's a red wave in November, Fauci's going to have some splaining to do. Fauci proudly brought all serious viruses in the past 38 years, starting with H. I think there's sarcasm in there. My sarcasm detector is sometimes a little slow. Okay, so that's it. Knowing what we know about respirators now, it was with Dr. Reish, an interview that I did that he mentioned something which I had never thought about, which is enraging. Okay, I didn't know that. Now that's going to make me upset here. Okay, hold on one second. Yeah, this was what a way. We'll end the way we started. If people believe this, they are stupid, and the media and politicians are right to have contempt for them. Dr. Martha Gulali will never forget the first time she saw a young, healthy athlete die of heat stroke. Oh, because the statement is that it never happened before, right? It was 1995 in the middle of a heat wave that would ultimately claim nearly 700 lives. In the decades that follow, Gulati watched in alarm as the climate warmed and heat catastrophes grew even more intense. The medical community was not prepared for what these temperatures would do to people. Since that heat wave in 95, climate change has intensified globally with wildfires, hurricanes, drought. The world we live in right now is not a very hospitable environment for the heart. With heart disease prevention, we tend to focus on controlling blood pressure and lipids, but we should consider other aspects of prevention like the environment. We know that air pollution is the cause of heart disease. Evidence shows that air pollution increases heart disease, heart failure, and insulin resistance. Experts say I'm going to skip the punchline. There's not a specific word in there. It's not clear exactly why temperature shifts correlate with higher heart attacks. Experts believe that temperature shifts affect the body's ability to regulate normal body temperature in response to extreme temperature. Oh my God, this is the old confuse and conquer. Experts advise changes should be made as a community by reducing plastic waste, using public transport, recycling, avoiding red meat, and advocating for policies to help the worsening climate change. Rubbish. Vapid rubbish. And I'd like to see the comparisons, the charts to countries, provinces, which might not have had. Okay. So with that said, people, that was phenomenal. That was fantastic. Tomorrow, Jeremy MacKenzie, founder of Diagolon. Noon. It's going to be on tomorrow. Wednesday, we've got an amazing sidebar. I haven't checked Rumble the entire time, and now I feel like I've been neglecting my better half. If there were any Rumble rants, I apologize, people. What they did to his mom is against humanity. There's some chat. Okay. Lie, deny, and repeat. Lie, deny, ignore, repeat. And if nothing else, in the back of people's minds, they're going to remember a headline and that they're going to correlate with the phenomenon that we've all been witnessing. People, this was awesome. I enjoy spending time with you. I appreciate that you all enjoy spending time with me. I am eager to see what Alex Stein is going to have in store. A la Ali G, Sacha Baron Cohen. The older Ali G stuff was funny. The Borat stuff was mean-spirited without any underlying value. But I don't know if I'm just getting too sensitive or too weak in my old age. Never let a disaster go to waste. I believe that was in Conspiracy Theorists' 2030 agenda. Sure, it's all a conspiracy theory. They're not trying to exploit the pandemic for global change, but they're trying to exploit the pandemic for global change, and it's written right here in their PDF documents, which I actually walked through. Free Spirit, thank you for your dedication. It's an obsession at this point. It's got the better of me. I'm obsessed. And what more fortunate existence to be able to do this with something you would otherwise be obsessed with. Thank you very much, Maureen Brown. I'm trying to make it my business to not get fixated on the critique or the trolls, but to also let the people who appreciate me know that I appreciate them. Thanks for the company, chatters. Gina Bobina, thank you for the company. Purple Heart, I love it. I'm not too old yet, but it happens quickly, Nature Lover. Overnight with sushi. Okay, I'm going to go, speaking of exercise, I'm going to go get my exercise, even in the heat of Florida. I don't think the Nats are out tonight, so it should be a clean run. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you tomorrow. Jeremy MacKenzie. And it's not going to be a walk in the park. We're actually going to discuss things, including what I think Jeremy and many other people online have come to appreciate, the value in weighing words in the environment in which we live, which involves a very unscrupulous media that enjoys causing shitstorms. We'll get into it tomorrow. Go, enjoy the night, talk to people in real life, check in on friends and family, make sure everyone around you is doing well. That was good. See you tomorrow, peeps. Peace.